Don't let one bad leg haunt your parlay. Parlays turn into payouts, and now even near misses won't haunt your bet. The NFL season is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is rewriting the rules with Ghost Leg, a new game-changing promotion that turns close calls into cold, hard cash. Best of all, it's available to all DraftKings customers. Here's how it works. Build any 3+ leg pregame NFL parlay on Sunday, apply your Ghost Leg token, and if one leg loses, DraftKings makes it vanish like it never existed and pays you out in cash for the rest. Last season, over 30 million parlays were lost by a single leg. This year, Ghost Leg gives those busted bets a second life. No more busted parlays that haunt you all season. With Ghost Leg, the bad leg vanishes. The payout doesn't. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code PFF. That's code PFF to unlock Ghost Leg, the promotion that makes one bad leg disappear and pays you out in real cash. Ghost your losses, get your payout in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Last year. Speaking of Javon Kinlaw's old team, speaking of Aaron Rodgers' old team, the New York Jets. I wish you guys could have the pleasure of watching a New York Jets football game. Watching Dalton watch a New York Jets football game like I got to do yesterday. It's always a wonderful time. The Pittsburgh Steelers ended up winning this game 34-32. I believe the final over-under line for this game, depending on where you look, was either 37.5 or 30. Wait. What do you?
That's yeah. I did not think this would be the second highest scoring game of the day.
I am laughing. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I don't think you can. But one of our producers, Eli, just said over the speakers in the studio room, he wanted to make sure that everybody knew that the over/under was 37.5, and he took the under. And he, in fact, did not win this one. 34-32. Never would have seen this one coming. Steelers ended up winning this game off a thrilling Chris Broswell field goal here. Top 5 graded players that we have for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Edge rusher TJ Watt at the top of the list with an 82.4. Cornerback Jalen Ramsey in his first regular season game as a Steeler, 79.4. Wide receiver DK Metcalf in his first game as a Steeler, 75.6. Safety Deshaun Elliott with a 72.3. And then tight end Pat Freiermuth with a 71.7. Aaron Rodgers' game in this one. I know his stat sheet might make you think it'd be a little bit higher. 54.5. We'll get to that in a second. On the other side of things for the New York Jets, Quinnen Williams at the top of the list, an elite 92.0. Sauce Gardner right behind him, another elite 90.3. You love to see your stars with elite single-game grades to start the season. You love to see this as well. First-round pick, offensive tackle Armand Membu. Tough assignment going up against the Steelers' defensive line and went up against TJ Watt quite a bit in this one and yet still stood tall. 89.0 grade from Armand Membu to start his NFL career. That was awesome. Wide receiver Garrett Wilson with an 86.1. Running back Breece Hall with an 81.5. And then Justin Fields in this game, an 82.2. Dalton, stat told the story. What do we got here?
This, honestly, it's almost, when you look at all the numbers and you look at everything the statistical in this game, it almost makes no sense that the Jets lost this game. Right, and the number of things that had to happen for them to lose this game. I mean, the Xavier Gibson fumble on the kick return that basically, gave the Steelers a free touchdown there. They scored, was it very next play or 2 plays later. I think the one thing that did get away from them, they had a chance with about 4 minutes left to really put together a 4-minute drive and kill all the clock, and they ran the ball. There was some times with the Jets where they ran the ball on third down. It was a bit conservative. There was a 3rd and 4 on their second to last drive where then they didn't get it and had to punt it away. Chris Boswell is just an absolute weapon. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It feels like every week you got a 60-yard game-winning field goal here, and then obviously Jalen Ramsey making his presence known to win the game. But I think it just comes down to the Jets for the most part. They were the more physical team. I thought they were ready to go. Aaron Glenn had this team more ready to go early in the game than any game we saw last year, or maybe even the last couple of years. And it ended up just being, it's another one, late game execution, right? One turnovers, 1-0, but it was so costly. The Jets not being able to extend a 4-minute drive at the end and giving Rodgers one more shot. Then you had the fluky DK Metcalf, like triple deflection catch and a PI, and the Jets secondary was struggling. other than Sauce Gardner, but it's just what it comes down to. I mean, just the narrowest of margins and a very, very young team, one of the 5 or 6 youngest teams in the NFL, trying to learn how to win, right? For a franchise that hasn't done it in a long time. I thought the Jets played a really darn good game. Justin Fields was really good, but again, Aaron Rodgers, Steelers, Mike Tomlin, you have a veteran team that understands situational football, and they got just enough done in the fourth quarter. But basically all of the numbers would tell you the Jets should have won this game, and pretty much Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers just found a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they found a way to do it, and to be honest with you, they had 2 blown coverages that led to touchdowns, right? Getting into Aaron Rodgers' grade and why the stat sheet, because Rodgers, let me find his stats that were on the regular stat sheet here. Rodgers was 22 for 30, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. I think a lot of people would look at that scoreboard and say, how in the world is he at 54.4? Well, he didn't have any big-time throws in this game. 2 of the touchdowns that he threw were completely blown coverages. I mean, there weren't guys within 15 feet of him, and they scored touchdowns. So obviously you don't get a ton of credit for throwing to a guy who's absolutely wide open when blown coverage is the reason why he's wide open. The other touchdown that he had was a pop pass. And then one of the other ones was in the red zone in a goal-to-go situation, and it's a throw to the flat to the running back, and Jamie Sherwood has no chance to cover him in that for the coverage that was called. So it was sort of like it was kind of the Jets, to me, in a lot of ways, were the better football team. I agree with you, but they also had the more costly plays that the Steelers took advantage of.
Yep.
And that's why you bring in Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, his PFF grade is what it is, but to be honest with you, like, you want to have a quarterback who can mentally go through things very quickly when the ball is snapped to say, wait a second, that guy's wide open. And he can immediately throw it to him and get it there in good timing, and Rodgers was able to do that. Now, obviously, those are viewed as low difficulty plays, but I'll give him the credit for just the awareness that he has from playing this game so long to where he goes, yep, that guy's wide open, and he's already looking his way and going to make a pass there. So I agree with you. I thought the Jets showed a lot of fight in this one. The Jets were 3 for 4 in the red zone, 75% in the red zone in this game. They were 3 for 3 in goal-to-go situations. The Steelers were also great in the red zone. That's why I think that we had both these teams scoring in the 30s. They were 3 for 3. That's 100%, of course. And then goal-to-go situations, they were 2 for 2. Of course, 100% there again. But to me, the most impressive was the Jets' defensive line. Jermaine Johnson looked great. Quinnen Williams looked great. Will McDonald had, I believe, an 86.3 pass rush grade in this one with 2 sacks. Those 3 combined for 12 pressures and 3 sacks in this game. They were fantastic. You combine that with what Sauce Gardner was able to do, getting an elite coverage grade, it's basically, you can't really ask for a recipe that's better for the Jets. You just have to ask for a better floor for the guys around them. The ceiling was there. Your stars played up to your potential. It's just the rest of the guys got to play better. So I think that this is, albeit a loss and probably a tough one for the Jets to take, like, game 1 of the Aaron Glenn era, like, you feel pretty good about this.
Absolutely. I mean, the way that Fields played, you mentioned all of the stars came out. Breece Hall was great. Garrett Wilson was great. How about Armand Membu? That's my most impressive guy. You consider the assignment that he had against this Pittsburgh Steelers defensive line, and he was one of your highest graded players. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, and he didn't look all that consistently great in the preseason, but it's a small sample. It's preseason, but especially in the run game, the way the Jets ran the football in this game, that's their ideal blueprint to win. Armand Membu, 90.3 run blocking grade, 9 positive run blocks. And the funny part of it is, I don't know if you saw there was a next gen metric graph about which direction the Jets were running the ball in, and it was constantly left just to stay away from TJ Watt.
Yeah.
They ran the ball 36 times in this game, 26 of them to the left.
That's awesome.
So Armand Membu, all those positive run blocks
Didn't
for
Cam
for
Hayward
Membu.
on that side though?
I think he did. I think he
Hopefully
might
they're
move
running
around.
outside.
Either
Hopefully
way, they're just not not running at TJ.
Yeah.
That's really the big thing.
Sure.
But Membu getting all those cutoff blocks on the backside, 9 positive, and most of the time he's on the backside of that. He looked fantastic from start to finish in this game. Really, this whole offensive line, especially in the run game, was really good. This is how the Jets want to run their offense, right? It's running the ball first, getting the read option game a little bit. They scored their initial go-ahead touchdown on a Justin Fields naked boot down on the goal line. Fields looked really good throwing the ball, especially with the play-action concepts. I think offensively, I think this is everything the Jets could have dreamed of. And then you look at the stars on defense playing up, but you make a good point about the lack of depth with the Jets, because that's really the issue, right? Your only good wide receiver is Garrett Wilson. Right now, the only player who played well in the secondary is Sauce Gardner. That was a big problem, is all the coverage bust, and they're playing more man-to-man coverage under Aaron Glenn. The stars came out, and I've said this offseason to some people. The Jets' 10 best players can play with just about anybody. It's the other 43. What are you getting out of the rest of them that's going to decide that you win ball games?
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's exactly how. Yeah.
Going into my most disappointing, because I mentioned that the Jets' defensive line was my most impressive. The Jets' coverage unit was my most disappointing because Sauce had a 90.5 coverage grade with 2 pass breakups. He was excellent. There was only one other Jets defender that had a coverage grade above 51, and it was Andre Sikkema, who I think it was like a 51.5.
Yeah.
The rest of the group, the floor was so low, unfortunately, for the rest of the group which you figure is going to be the case anyways, because it's year one of Aaron Glenn, and you know he's probably going to do the same thing that Detroit did 3 years ago, where they just 3 or 4 years ago, I can't remember what it was now, with Dan Campbell, where they just kind of like cleaned house of everybody, and they're just like, we're going to draft the dudes. Like, we're going to draft the guys that we believe in, and we're going to build our core out of those players. And it's sort of just about surviving until then. So, most disappointing for you, and then we'll move on.
Look, the Steelers, they do need to play better on offense. The 34 points and all of that, you can look on the surface, and Aaron Rodgers, they got to be better. They got to be better up front, especially. Rodgers, I don't think was protected all that well. I thought Broderick Jones especially just continues to struggle starting out his third year, and they have to run the football. I mean, that was non-existent for them. 20 carries for 53 yards, -3 yards before contact.
Yeah,
it was one of those scenarios where they had more yards after contact than actual yards. So, especially
the old Ashton Genty.
Exactly. So, I mean, you talk this this offensive tackle situation. I'm keeping an eye on it still, because I know Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald are really good players, but there's even better edge defenders that the Steelers are going to see on their schedule throughout the year. There's a ton of them in the NFL, and this offensive tackle situation and this run game, they've got to run the football.
Yeah.
They can't ask Rodgers to carry them. That's not what he's going to do anymore. He got him through this game. He took advantage of the Jets' mistakes, and there was even some fluky things that happened. But they have to be balanced on offense. They cannot go in there every week with their offensive line honestly playing as poorly as they did in this game.
Somebody in the chat was asking, like, hey, what did you think about Justin Fields? I thought Justin Fields was great.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, like, he's holding on to the ball a little bit longer than you want most quarterbacks to. Like, he's going to take a little bit more time to scan the field. He's going to run, right? I mean, when pressure's in his face, when the first progression or even the second progression, I'm not just calling him like a first read and run kind of a quarterback. I think he's evolved a little bit, but he is somebody who knows that his legs are a weapon. And so he uses those consistently. I thought he played well this past game. And to be honest with you, I have thought Justin Fields has played well in the NFL when he has been confident. Very clearly, when he was with the Bears, he was not confident. The coaching staff, whoever was in his ear, the offensive play caller, whatever was going on, he was not confident when he was with the Chicago Bears. So, to me, I wasn't really going to judge him entirely off of what I saw during his tenure there. When he was with the Steelers last year, there were moments through the first, what was it, like 4, 5, 6 games of the season where we went, hold on here, like, do they really need to go to Russell Wilson? Like, Justin Fields is actually playing pretty well, and it's because he was playing confidently. That is, again, what I saw with the Jets this past week. So, I mean, was it a light the world on fire game for Justin Fields? No, but I thought he was, like you mentioned, this was a good game from the New York Jets, and Justin Fields absolutely goes into watch.
Should be noted, 90.4 passing grade. That's the best of his career. So, look, and it's only on what he throw the ball, 22 attempts, 25 dropbacks, and that's the Jets' ideal. Yeah, they're going to call it. They're going to run it more than they throw it. But when they asked Fields to throw it, he was spectacular. And I think you mentioned the confidence and the trust in Tanner Engstrand's play calling. He did look comfortable, and that's a big thing. I think if he's going to play like that, then the Jets' real only downfall on offense is going to be a lack of receiving depth behind Garrett Wilson. But he looks just fine throwing the ball to Garrett, throwing the ball. Breece Hall looks spectacular, and we weren't sure how he would look with the contract situation and all the kind of, we thought, hard feelings coming out.
Maybe it's not his last year in New York.
Well, maybe he's just motivated.
Maybe not.
But this team, offensively, this was the blueprint that the Jets want week in and week out. If they bring this every week, especially if they run the ball the way they did, they will be a problem for a lot of teams. We need to see Fields on that consistent level as well.